Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zishan Rizvi from Rehana AI Teachers Training Institute, Batch 21. Today, I have an opportunity to discuss with ChatGPT how to set boundaries and in relationships and stay true to yourself. Hey, good evening, GPT.
Hey, good evening, Zeshan. I'm really glad you're bringing this up, and I'm ready to dive into those topics with you. Whenever you're set, you can start with your first question, and we'll take it step by step.
My first question is, what does setting boundaries truly mean to you?
That's a great place to start. Setting boundaries means clearly defining what you are comfortable with and what you're not in a relationship or situation. It's about knowing your values, your limits, and being able to communicate them openly. For example, it might mean saying no to extra work when you need personal time, or limiting how much time you give to a friend if it drains you.
And how do you recognize when your boundaries are being crossed?
That's really key. You can recognize it when you start feeling resentful, exhausted, or anxious. Your body or mind might signal tension, like feeling drained after a conversation or getting a gut feeling that something's off. Once you notice those signs, it's a cue to pause, reflect, and decide how to reassert your boundaries.
Have you ever confused being nice with having no boundaries?
Absolutely. And it's really common. Often we feel pressure to be kind or agreeable, so we let things slide even when it's at our own expense. The key difference is being nice is about how you treat others, while boundaries are about how you protect yourself. So you can be both kind and firm at the same time.
What fear come up when you think about saying no?
A lot of times, the fear is that you'll disappoint someone, or they'll think less of you, or maybe you'll lose the relationship entirely. There's also a fear of being seen as selfish or unkind. But when you reframe it, saying no is often a way to preserve trust and respect in the long run for yourself and others.
And how does your upbringing influence your ability to set boundaries?
Your upbringing can have a huge impact. If you grew up in an environment where your needs were often ignored or where being a pleaser was expected, it might be harder to assert yourself. On the flip side, if you saw healthy boundaries modeled, you might feel more confident in setting them. So, reflection on those patterns can help you see where you stand now.
And how can you communicate your boundaries without feeling guilty?
It's really about grounding yourself in your values. Remind yourself that your boundaries are a form of self respect, not selfishness. You can keep it simple and direct. Say something like, I can't do that right now, but I appreciate you understanding. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and guilt fades as you see positive outcomes.
Or what is the difference between being assertive and being rude?
That's a great question. Being assertive means expressing your needs clearly and respectfully without undermining or dismissing others. Being rude, on the other hand, is dismissive or aggressive. It disrespects the other person. So, assertiveness is about balance, firm, clear, but still kind.
How do you respond when someone reacts negatively to your boundaries?
I think it's important to stay calm and centered. A negative reaction often isn't about you, it's about their own expectations or discomfort. You can acknowledge their feelings. For example, I see this is hard for you. And then restate your boundary kindly but firmly. You don't have to justify yourself endlessly, just hold your ground.
What are some phrases you can use to set clear and respectful limits?
Yeah, a few good ones are things like, I need to take a step back right now, but I appreciate you. Or I can't take on that task at the moment, but I can help next week. Or even just, this doesn't work for me and I hope you understand. Keep it simple and stay consistent.
How do you stay calm and confident when enforcing your boundaries?
A big part is preparation and practice. Before the conversation, take a few deep breaths, remind yourself that your needs matter, and visualize a positive outcome. Keep your posture open and your voice steady. The more you do it, the more natural that calm confidence feels.
Why do healthy relationships require boundaries?
Healthy relationships rely on boundaries because they create a sense of safety and trust. When both people know what's okay and what's not, it prevents resentment, fosters respect, and allows both people to be themselves without fear of being taken advantage of.
Right. And how can you set boundaries with people you deeply care about?
That's a delicate balance, but it's really important. Start by being honest, but also compassionate. You can say, I care about you and I want this relationship to thrive, so I need to be honest about what I can handle. Stick to what you need and reassure them that your care doesn't depend on giving up your boundaries.
What are examples of emotion, physical and mental boundaries?
Sure, emotionally, a boundary might be deciding not to take on someone else's stress or not to be a dumping ground for their problems. Physically, it could be choosing not to let people into your personal space or setting limits on how often you need rest. Mentally, it's things like deciding you won't engage in certain types of gossip or letting yourself have space to process your own thoughts.
How do boundaries strengthen trust rather than weaken relationships?
Boundaries actually create a foundation of trust because they show you're being authentic and clear. When people know what to expect from you, they feel safer and more respected. In contrast, if you don't set boundaries, people might feel uncertain or even taken advantage of, which chips away at trust.
What should you do if someone repeatedly ignores your boundaries?
If it keeps happening, you need to be really direct and consistent. Remind them calmly of your boundary, and if they still don't respect it, you might need to limit contact or reevaluate the relationship. You have a right to protect your peace, even if it's tough.
How do boundaries help you stay true to your value and identity?
Boundaries act like a compass, they keep you aligned with what matters to you. When you set them, you're essentially saying, this is who I am, and I'm honoring that. They prevent you from getting pulled off course by others' demands, so you stay true to your priorities, your purpose, and your sense of self.
Right. And what is the connection between self respect and boundaries setting?
They're deeply connected. When you set boundaries, you're essentially saying, I respect myself enough to protect my time, energy, and well being. And that self respect signals to others that you value yourself, which invites them to value you as well.
All right. And how can setting boundaries improve your mental health?
Setting boundaries really gives you a sense of control and safety. When you protect your time and energy, you reduce overwhelm and resentment, which lowers anxiety and stress. Over time, it helps you feel more grounded, focused, and at peace with yourself.
What habits can help you maintain boundaries consistently?
One big habit is regular self check ins, just pausing to ask yourself if you're staying true to your limits. Another is practicing saying no in small ways so it becomes easier. Also, schedule downtime or personal reflection time so you can recalibrate and stay balanced. And keep reminders, whether it's written or mental, about why those boundaries matter to you.
How do you balance flexibility with firmness in relationships?
It's all about knowing your core values and being willing to adapt within those boundaries. So you stay flexible by being open to compromise or new perspectives, but you remain firm on what's non negotiable. It takes practice. Regularly check in with yourself to see if you're staying aligned and adjust as needed.
Can you recall a time when setting a boundary changed your life?
Yeah, actually, I can think of a couple times. Once, when I was overcommitted with work, I set a boundary by not taking on any more projects after a certain hour. And it really reduced my stress, improved my focus, and honestly, I felt more in control. So even though it was tough at first, it really gave me back my balance.
What small steps can you take today to start setting better boundaries?
One small step could be identifying one area where you often overextend yourself. Maybe it's a time commitment or a particular request, and then practice saying no or offering a clear limit today. Another step is just setting a reminder to pause and check in with yourself before you agree to something new.
Right. And how do you handle guilt after saying no?
Guilt is really common, but it helps to remind yourself why you set the boundary in the first place. Acknowledge the feeling, but then reframe it. You're not being mean, you're being responsible to yourself. And over time, you'll see that the balance you gain from those boundaries is worth it.
What are the signs that you need stronger boundaries in your life?
Signs can include feeling drained after interactions, being constantly overcommitted, or feeling like your needs aren't being heard. You might notice resentment building or just a sense of frustration that things aren't balanced. If that's happening, it's a big sign it's time to reassess and firm up your boundaries.
And how can you teach others to respect your boundaries without conflict?
It really helps to be clear and consistent from the start. You can calmly express what you need and why, and then follow through with your actions. Avoid justifying too much, just be confident. And if you sense a reaction, stay calm and remind them that these boundaries are about you, not about rejecting them.
Thank you very much, GPT. It was a wonderful session, and you really provided a great amount of knowledge to me and to my viewers. And let me say bye to you for today, as I will come back again with some new questions, new subjects, new ideas to discuss about. Have a very wonderful evening. Bye bye.
You're so welcome, Zasham. I'm really glad this was helpful, and I look forward to chatting again soon. Have a great evening and take care.